Hi, it's Kiffin Lebates here, and this week I've spent a lot of time on AML and KYC and quite a bit of time researching securities regulation, which has turned out to be very interesting but also very frustrating. The main thing is that the aims of this regulation are laudable. They aim to prevent fraud and criminality, and everybody except the criminals agrees that that is a good thing. The problem is that the aims turn into regulations, and then the regulations are mindlessly applied by the regulatory bodies who, like all government authorities, have a tendency to overreach their remit. And certainly they don't seem to think through what the effect of their current application of regulation on new fields is going to be, or even if it's relevant given the fact that times have changed. Now, I understand that organisations like the SEC are playing a game of cat and mouse, and they are constantly trying to catch up because fraudsters are always coming up with new ways to exploit us and rip us off. But unfortunately, the way that the regulation seems to work is that it ends up grabbing a whole bunch of projects that really shouldn't be included in prosecution, in the same way that deep sea trawling fishing ends up catching a whole load of bycatch and not just the particular fish that the fishermen are aiming to catch. And that's extremely unfortunate, and of course it impedes progress. Really, what you would want to do is look at what the intent behind each project is and try to determine, was this actually a genuine case of fraud? And in the crypto space there's plenty of cases where that is very, very clear. Or was there actually a serious intent by the project launchers to do something of value? And if you end up in the situation where the people running the project think they're doing the right thing and the people investing in it think that the investment is fine, then should there really be cases of prosecution? I would argue no. But that's not the way the system works. The financial space is examined by advisory task forces, and they come up with recommendations as to how fraud can be reduced. That advice is then turned into processes and laws by the various nations out there, and then their regulatory bodies use those laws to prosecute people. And by the time a prosecution starts, the purpose of the regulation and the advice and the laws has kind of become decoupled from the reality. And in the crypto and blockchain space, this is particularly poignant because we have no idea at the moment how it's all going to pan out. You can launch a project now in good faith and find out 4 or 6 or 8 years down the line that the regulatory bodies think you're in the wrong and they take you to court. And of course, because this is a crime that they're investigating, or rather a potential crime, the potential penalties can be extremely, extremely harsh. And that makes launching a blockchain project quite a risky business. And of course, what that leads to is projects that are done anonymously, or a lot of the money that is raised actually being spent on legal insurance and lawyers, which makes nobody except the lawyers happy. So I haven't got a solution to this. The particular thing that's been biting me this last week is KYC. The amount of paperwork that I have had to do and the amount of fiddly little forms that have to be filled in by hand because they're badly designed, and weird spreadsheets with all sorts of automatic formulas that make it impossible to use them on anything other than Windows, have been the bane of my life this week. And I understand that the reason behind this is to hopefully reduce the amount of fraud that goes on out in the world. But of course the upshot is that 99% of the people who are filling this stuff in haven't committed any crimes, have no intention of committing any crimes, and yet they're burning hundreds of person hours a week to try and comply with all of this stuff, just to marginally increase the probability of an actual criminal getting caught. And that's the final problem with all this stuff. How effective is it actually? My suspicion is that it is not particularly effective, especially since fraudsters get familiar with the processes and they can just rocket through them because they have everything already set up, and they're doing maybe 10, 50, 100 applications, just cycling through various artificially created documents in order to get all the checkboxes ticked. So ultimately, it's to the detriment of the honest and it really doesn't impede the criminal that much. Anyway, that's my opinion on all of this. I'll be interested to hear yours, so please do leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.